That's why we've been in discussions with them about defensive weapons to be able to protect their grid. And I know we've been in ongoing technical conversations about the specific equipment they need. But ultimately, if that equipment is ultimately destroyed a week later after it's installed, that remains a problem. And that's been the history the last 2 or 3 years.
That's why you needed to get an MRI. I understand that the results were good, but what was it for?
Because it's part of my physical. Getting an MRI is very standard. Well, you think I shouldn't have it? Other people get it.
Typically, an MRI
I had an MRI.
Specific part of your body.
Here's what the story is. I had an MRI. The doctor said it was the best result he has ever seen as a doctor.
Well, hello, that's me again. Today is November 15th, 2025. It is Saturday. And boy, I don't even know where to start, honestly. But as many people noticed in the comments, and absolutely correct, last time that I should have put the full speech of Marco Rubio a few days back when he was explaining actually that the doesn't matter what United States provides Ukraine, once it's on the front line, in a week it's gone, it's destroyed. And here it is. I just put it in there for you guys to listen to it. And here's our guy Rubio. He makes the strategic admission that it doesn't matter what you try to do there in Ukraine. And as you saw yourself, well, what can I say? It's it's a really bad situation there. And we will start with the sit-rep today a little bit, and then I will explain to you more, expand more on why we live in the sheer idiocracy of what is happening, for example, with European elites. But let's start with the things which are critical for the sit-rep, if you wish. So we will start with the latest tally. As you can see yourself, it's 1205. It's a little bit lower, but again, you have to understand, if you take a look, for example, at Mirnograd now, and you not follow those fake maps by those sore losers from, for example, Institute of Study of War or any other Western media, you will see yourself that Russians already hoisted the flag in Mirnograd at the tallest point there, which is the tower of the mine. And so, yeah, the reduction of the pockets there continuous, and reduction obviously is a euphemism for physical annihilation of whatever is there if it doesn't want to surrender, and many do surrender. And of course, as you might expect, they all say that, oh my gosh, we were all cooks and, you know, drivers, we never shot anybody. Well, we already know their orders have been issued to shoot at Russian civilians, kill them all. So there you go. Now, if we go to our friend Colonel Popov and Marat Khairulin and look at the yesterday's, well, so again, keep in mind, this is actually about 3 days lag at minimum. So even these maps, which are done by the, obviously, statements by the Russian Defense Ministry, you have to keep in mind Russians also do not report immediately everything. Some things they report the same day, but most of the time it's not. But if we go and take a look, for example, at the issue of Zaporozhye, and it's Guляй-Поле and Pokrovskaya direction, you can see yourself that it is an extremely active front. You can see yourself that there essentially there is a was basically putting the Guляй-Поле critical transportation node into again the being surrounded completely, and it will be surrounded. And then, of course, yet another whatever number of thousands or tens of thousands of the armed forces of Ukraine, and very many nowadays from Latin America, all kinds of so-called volunteers, will be annihilated there. So many of them are being captured, others are having the nervous breakdown, such as the Brazilian types of people. And Commander Farinazo, our good friend, he also also already commented for the Russian information news agencies such as RIA about the fact that those people sometimes don't have any military experience, and obviously they think that it is safari, they go and kill some Ruskies and obviously promised them payments which never delivered, and so as a result, yeah, they have nervous breakdown and really, just crying. So this is what you can observe on the Gulai Poli axis. And what can I say? If we take a look at Beletsky, also, as you can see yourself too, Beletsky is being also being taken as we speak. And this is just one of those hamlets or towns which completely fall to Russians, or Russians actually liberate them. And in general, when you take a look at the whole situation at the front, you can see yourself non-stop unfolding operations, and any talk nowadays about the that Ukraine somehow can, negotiate something or say something in terms of the, how to put it, input, if you wish, of the whatever the negotiations are ongoing around this whole conflict or the special military operation. So here it is. We have Mr. Miroshnik, the ambassador Miroshnik, and he correctly states that yesterday that limited functionality. We already know this, but I want to reiterate it for especially that club of the fanboys who always like to point out what Lavrov should do and how he should do it. Here it is. Here's another senior Russian diplomat, which is specifically appointed to the position of dealing with Ukrainian issues. And he talks correctly that Ukraine is a limited functionality country that largely follows the wishes of its foreign backers and therefore cannot be considered a party to any peace talks. A senior Russian diplomat has argued. He's not argued. He's stating basically the facts which we all know. It is not between Russia and whatever is Ukraine, whatever it will be left out of it. And he talks about that lack of general sovereignty complicates negotiations. So, yeah, and he correctly states that decisions are not made in Kiev. Meanwhile, while this happens, and we can see yourself that what is happening, for example, around Gulai Poli, you can, and all other, Novopavlovka, for example, I deliberately measured distance for you to explain to you that Russians are now beginning to fight for Novopavlovka, and it's basically 20 kilometers inside the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, and this is happening all over the place. Russians are deep in the, beyond those 4 regions which became Russian and voted for joining Russia, and so that tells you basically all this operational and strategic situation on the front, which of course creates not just unease but downright panic and desperation on the part of the Western comrades, if you wish. And here is the some demonstration to you. Here is a legendary man, actually, the former as you know, man who was in charge for 3 years from 2012 to 2014 of the Defense Intelligence Agency, and the man who was supposed to be national security advisor to Mr. Trump during his first term. And as you know, the man was completely sabotaged, lied upon, smeared by the, criminal US media, most of them are. And Mr. Trump, being the coward that he is, he just threw him under the bus. However, Mr. Flynn from already, and he is a cadre officer, lieutenant general, he stated just yesterday the Ukraine war is lost and the US must reconsider all previous decisions made during the Biden administration. It is a disaster and we must find the exit out for the United States immediately. America first. I agree. He was one of those few men who immediately posted with the start of special military operation, and even before, even during the basically unfolding coup d'etat in Kiev in 2014, that this Nazi regime, essentially, there's Nazis all over the place. Well, obviously, nobody listened to him because, New York Times and CNN and BBC, especially London, they love Nazis. They, if not for Churchill in 1940, they would have collaborated with Nazis anyway. So, but yeah, here it is. And so he was reacting to the Viktor Orban statement that the golden illusion of Ukraine is falling apart. Well, of course it's falling apart, but it doesn't matter now what is happening in terms of those corruption scandals and things of this nature. It just doesn't matter because everything is decided on the battlefield, and the Russians are doing just pretty much, go on their own way, on their own pace. And I want to reiterate for people who still believe all those things that, oh yeah, Russians were supposed to take Kiev in 3 days. Could the Russians do it? Possibly they could if they would decide to do that. Well, not 3 days, but 5, 10, maybe a couple of weeks. But they would. The problem is, why would they? And the question is that I want to reiterate the point which many people continue to ignore. During that, on the 24th of February 2022, there was 125,000 of Russian troops which went into Ukraine. They were actually peacetime army, and their idea and their task was primarily demonstration of force. That is why they, while demonstrating this force, by April 2022, by the time of their so-called negotiations and talks in Istanbul, which were sabotaged by the United States by means of this cretin Bodja, what can I say? They already managed at that time wipe out pretty much the first iteration of the armed forces of Ukraine, which were the best proxy NATO ever had. So you have to keep this in mind. That is why, after the talks in Istanbul have been sabotaged, it's a known fact. Known fact among the professional environment in Russia, among officers and people who served in the very high positions, and this is confirmed that essentially Vladimir Putin told Gerasimov that untie yourself from the calendar. That means what? Just we don't care about any specific dates, just do it as you see it fit. And the Russians have been doing since then as they see their fit, it fit. And so, to demonstrate that we are in idiocracy and why everything is falling apart in the, everywhere in the combined West, here is very interesting thing. As you can see yourself, that Estonia wants to really show how important they are. And as you can see yourself, for example, the authorities of Latvia and Estonia are ready to close checkpoints on the border with Belarus. Okay, well, we know that, for example, Chinese use the sea to hide their submarines. Russians are using air as their weapon because they breathe it and they actually fly their aircraft for some reason through the air. But if for those people who are the graduates of the Annalena Baerbock and Jen Psaki School of the political and economic geography, I have news. And the news that even Estonian border guards stated that Estonian border guards stated that the Estonian border with Belarus, we do not have such a border, the department said. Yeah, when you have the official department stated, yeah, there you go. So let me show you. Here's how Estonia wants to close border crossings between Belarus and Estonia. Yeah, judging by the distance there, they are separated by, pretty much whole of Latvia and a huge Russian Federation. They simply are not in any way, they don't have any common border whatsoever. Yet Estonia wanted to show, with those, chihuahuas from the Baltic state that it wants to actually, participate in all kinds of the sanctions and, barking at Russia and her allies, which of course Belarus and Russian Federation are the union state, despite very many policies of Mr. Lukashenko. But so you can see yourself. If you tell me that this is not idiocracy, well, I'm sorry, guys, it is. And this is not just that. I mean, I want to also update you on this critical point of the Corriere della Sera bowing out, being cowards that they are, from publishing the whole interview of Mr. Lavrov. You remember last time, you can go back to my latest, previous video, and you will see my comments on that, because, and Maria Zakharova correctly stated that it is all political elites in Italy. They are sold out prostitutes basically, and so they obviously do not want their really the most competent diplomat on earth to even state anything which contradicts their position, which is of course complete lying, and it's complete lie essentially. And so, well, guess what? Suddenly, there is another outlet in Italy which did what any normal, respectable media will do. Not American mainstream media, not Western mainstream, especially not British Western, mainstream media. Well, they don't have mainstream, it's all tabloids, basically. And so, but La Verità, it's really, well, Verità, I believe in Latin and in Italian is they are called the truth. And so here it is. La Verità just stated that, you know what, the task of media is to provide all sides of the story, and here we are for people to make, you know, their own opinion, make up their mind. And they put it full interview, full 10 pages of the responses to Corriere della Sera, and here's the interview with Lavrov censored by the Corriere. Correct. Good for La Verità. I applaud them. This is how you do it, and this is how you need to stomp out all those prostitutes and war criminals in the Western mainstream media who actually were the guys who, well, they have no honor. They have no integrity. They have no humanity in them. Those people are just nothing but pawns. Most of them are morons with no education. Journalism is not profession. It's not craft. Anybody with the IQ above room temperature and, well, good command of any language can do it, you know. So, and that's the result. Well, they suddenly said that, yeah, Mr. Lavrov, please address the Italian public as it was supposed to be from the start. And Corriere della Sera now can stay with the egg on their faces. In fact, I want to repeat what Mr. Lavrov did to CNN a couple of years ago. I believe it was on the St. Petersburg Economic Forum, when he standing on the stage after the end of the press conference, responding to the question from CNN. He told them that, oh, I'm not going to answer this. Write whatever you want. I mean, you're going to lie anyway. That's what it is. I don't know why Russia still tolerates those low lies, one-cell organisms from, let's say, BBC, Washington Post, and all that. So these are people who have no, idea. They probably have idea. They have no consciousness. They don't have, as I already stated, integrity. They are there not to cover situation. They are there not to deliver news. They are there to support narrative, which we all know what is going on with this narrative. However, and before we go to this explanation of who those people are, I want to point out that what you see here, it's one of the shocking developments which, for example, Mr. Trump, who, as we know, he has the best MRI scans ever in the history of MRIs and scans, and you saw yourself. So Mr. Trump is the best thing which ever happened to this universe, as you might know. But this is what it is. As you can see yourself on the map, this is so-called the north-south corridor, you see, and a transportation corridor. And what is, Russians are not stupid people, make no mistake, and they understand what they are dealing with in terms of, for example, all kinds of the, local, leaders, let's put it this way, in Caucasus. So through Azerbaijan, although Azerbaijan did agree on the this railroad segment between Russia and Iran, you can see yourself that after especially Mr. Takayev's visit to Moscow a couple days ago, where Russia and Kazakhstan signed a comprehensive agreement on the strategic partnership, you can see yourself that another railroad branch, if you wish, goes through Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan. So, and goes directly to Iran, not Uzbekistan. Discard about Uzbekistan, doesn't have any common border. This is circled in green. And this is what happened. The first train, essentially loaded with the containers from Russia, from St. Petersburg, actually, reached Iran, Tehran, by rail on the eastern branch of the this railroad. So everything begins to work, and these are not good news, as you saw yourself, especially when you look attentively where it all goes. It goes towards the Indian Ocean. It goes, for now, refusing to buy Russian oil but of India, but it's a most likely tactical movement which was in coordination with Russia. But if they don't go back to buy Russian oil, it doesn't really matter, because in the end this is their oil which can easily be redirected towards, for example, China. But I mean, India probably will return back after the negotiating with Trump or whatever they have now. But yeah, they have the egg on their face, but we'll see. Anyhow, so what do we have then? Well, we have this situation. As already you know, the situation is a complete disaster. So we have now in Washington Post this guy. Oh, good Lord. So he went to Ukraine. He spoke to Mr. Sirsky. Well, Mr. Sirsky is a cretin and a butcher. He probably constantly is drunk. And you can see yourself, he's basically on the verge of the nervous breakdown. But here it is. The Washington Post. Beat Russia the smart way. No escalation required. Give Ukraine military aid and economic support. Give Russia an off-ramp. Ron Vahid is CEO of Magellan Investment Holdings and the chairman of the strategic intelligence firm Arcanum. And he talks about that, yeah, it's like this famous meme. If you don't know what this meme is, go find it. It is on YouTube. It is about, this is the meme with the guy, excellent musician, who does the metal variation or basically metal cover of this idiotic teenage girls who says that, oh, he's homeless, why doesn't he buy the house? And he makes this wonderful thing, which is of course the sarcastic interpretation of this whole idiocy of this teenager, that yeah, if you die, just stay alive. If you have the heart attack, defend it. If you have depression, just cheer up and things of this nature, And so this is exactly the same thing. And who is Ron Vahid, who publishes this drivel, which is of course useless to start with? Well, look at who he is. If you take a look at his CV, Mr. Ron Vahid. He is the founder, the chairman of the board of Magellan Investment Group, the holdings, blah, 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 blah. He is also the American Investment Company, and also he is the part of this strategic intelligence guys. I will explain to you what the strategic intelligence guys are. And so he says that early in his career, Mr. Vahid served as a professional staff member of the US Senate, focusing on the foreign policy, defense, and national security issues. He also advised the Bush-Cheney okay, so there you go. You have to throw the guy out because he has no clue. And fact is, he has no background whatsoever on operational strategic level to do anything, to say anything about anything, especially when we know the Pentagon and CIA, it's this bunch of for the most part, incompetent hacks who went to get some kind of the training and who do not understand what hits them because they can't. They don't have toolkit. I am on the record now. The U.S. military, its officer corps, they are not up to the modern requirements for the modern armed forces. Period. It's the fact which we cannot even deny anymore. And the record is the same as this finest fighting force in history. For some reason, always loses its wars. So, and here it is. This is what Ron Vahid is head of, a member of the board. Oh my God, this is. It's Magellan, whatever their, strategic thing, whatever the hell the name of it. And for some reason, if you take a look at this Arcanum, they position themselves that who we are. They have a bunch of generals there and some admiral who are obviously, it's a sinecure for the retired people to make a bunch of money by basically doing corruption schemes and providing BS data on to all kinds of the corporate and other recipients and customers, which of course, as we know in the United States, and I repeat, the United States doesn't have strategic forecast and strategic intelligence as a craft. None of those people who are those generals or admirals on the board of this yet another, shyster, Ponzi scheme of perpetuating pseudo-strategic BS have any toolkit to understand what they are dealing with. U.S. military education does not provide for the serious military education which is up for the modern requirements of the modern battlefield, let alone grand strategy and military strategy, which is tied to the grand strategy. United States doesn't have the, those synapses which make this possible. Most of what it is propaganda, and those people are. But look how they position themselves. Canon delivers battle-proven mission and intelligence solutions to the U.S. government and its allies, as well as to select corporate clients. As I already stated, none of those generals or admirals have any clue what they are providing. It is mostly BS, which is, as we already know, the Pentagon officially believed in the, for example, data on the Russian losses, and Ukrainian losses, which was provided to them by Kiev. That tells you everything you need to know about the professional level of those people, which is extremely low. And again, the question which has to be raised here is, what do you mean battle proven? Battle proven against who? In what conditions? Under what circumstances? Under what the tactical and operational framework? We already know how the Pentagon and all those generals do operational planning. It is amateurs probably do better than they do. And here it is, battle proven for the every single war United States lost against people in sandals and AK-47s. This is ridiculous. And so the moment the kinds of people like Taliban, which we all know throughout all 2000, throughout whole so-called control of Afghanistan by the US military, we know what was happening. Taliban was sitting calmly in Kabul and other, towns and cities of Afghanistan, and the United States literally controlled nothing. They didn't know even what to do. But, you have such people like Petraeus and these counterinsurgency strategists. Those people know nothing, really. They don't know history of the World War II, obviously, because it's not being taught properly. They believe all those fairy tales. And as a result, when you build a sand castle, voila. And that's exactly who those people are. They would not even dare. Well, they will be laughed out of the brigade level staff meeting in Russian armed forces. But they are providing strategic intelligence as if they know what it is. They don't. They have no idea how to measure resources, how to apply them, and what essentially those synapses, if you wish, how those synapses fire to actually make things work. You can't change it. You can't explain it because those people grew up in the Ponzi scheme of Wall Street, and they do not understand the world in terms of the actual serious material expression of the power of the nation. They have no clue. And as a result, we have now other clowns. Oh my God. Chatham House. Oh yeah, my God, look at this. This is another think tank, which is another corrupt scheme of the bunch of the inbred morons from United Kingdom, who for some reason think that they are serious organization. They are not. So what do? Well, Chatham House invites, oh my God, they invite the Nazi guy, as you can see yourself. Chatham House hosts notorious Ukrainian neo-Nazi mob leader. He is moron. This Mr. Karas, he is just basically sadist and cretin. But this is the level of all those scholars with all those fancy degrees from the degree mills in the United Kingdom who go and sit like this guy, Ron Vahid. So here they are, bunch of the people in the Chatham House. You can go and take a look, and they have this conference where they invented this cretin, and so they say war in Ukraine, the battleground for the future of Europe, Ukraine internal dynamics, and evolving need bear important lessons for Europe as the continent adapts to a shifting global landscape. No, you do not adapt. You don't have to toolkit to adapt to anything. And people in the Chatham House are the same shysters, pseudo-academic so-called experts, none of them having any serious education. First, United Kingdom doesn't have serious military education as such. They may teach you, for example, how to fly a plane or maybe drive the ship, but they do not have the system of the preparation of the serious officer corps, the only thing which matters in the real geopolitical, so to speak, setup. And so look at this. Oh my God, it is so funny when you look attentively at Chatham House and the point of their conference. Independent thinking. They don't think there. They don't have toolkit. They are morons. What does Ukraine need to get through winter? And here it is. This is the they interviewed the guy, Andriy Zagorodnyuk, former Minister of Defense of Ukraine. What do you expect from those people? They continue to drink the school aid. They are complete morons. They are in panic because they already understood what had happened, and they basically, it's accusation of their own sheer incompetence, military, geopolitical, political, economical, what have you. There's no normal people there. But nearly 4 years after Russia full-scale invasion, again, you have to explain to those people that if Russia would have been doing full-scale invasion, that would be a whole other story. But just to understand to you who those people are, you can go and take a look at this Chatham House, again, think tank, BS Ponzi scheme, and you can take a look, for example, what are Russia and Eurasia programs. I love how they, extol themselves. The Russia and Eurasia program at Chatham House is globally recognized by who? By the same morons, the same level of the cretins who actually infest and staff this organization, which couldn't find its own ass with its both hands in the brightly lit room. But yeah, this is how they praise themselves. And guess what? Look who is in charge of the Chatham independent thinking programs. And Russia and Eurasia. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, she is Anna Morgan, some lady who, oh, good Lord, program manager, Ukraine Forum, Russia and Eurasia programs, and Europe program at Chatham House. So, as you can see yourself, she graduated Ukrainian degree mill Taras Shevchenko National University and Magister in Law. So she's a lawyer, as you might understand. You can imagine what kind of lawyer she is, and you can imagine now what those programs in Chatham House are. As I already stated many times, I will repeat it again. All those Chatham Houses, all those, as you saw, whatever the name of this, so-called strategic intelligence guys, battle proven, really? They didn't see none of them saw any real battle to start with, all those American generals. And so the question is that those organizations exist only to essentially, would be as people and make money on selling the snake oil, which they call the strategic intelligence. Most of them are fronts for the intel organizations such as CIA or MI6, and those people also are incompetent. CIA is incompetent. The United States doesn't have any serious Russia expert anywhere near basically levels of power and influence, especially so goes for Europe. And when you look attentively at that, yeah, the result is, so to speak, the proof is in the pudding, if you wish. So Europe is bankrupt and it's going and circling the drain. And the question now is that how it all plays out for Europeans, not United States. And now, like Estonians, like Russians, are being obviously mocked all over the place, and the Russians take it with in stride and laugh at themselves. Estonians are known in Russian memes and anecdotes as a very slow people, but evidently Financial Times is not from London, it is from Tallinn, and this is like they slept under the some rock, I don't know for how many years, and suddenly Financial Times discovers that, oh my God, US officials are working to counter EU energy market. Financial Times. Washington wants to substitute. Really? It was the plan from the get-go. The oil and gas export to the bloc with its own. The Financial Times has said the US moving to push Russian energy out of the European Union. Yeah, they probably will. So, and Washington also has deliberately blocked a bid by Sweden-based Gunrov Group to acquire the foreign assets of Russian oil major Lukoil. What can I say? This is when you ask me, is it idiocracy? Yes, it is idiocracy. And people of honor, integrity, professional qualities, and the professionals, they are pushed out of the system because it cannot exist with people who are smart, who have integrity, and who are not afraid to tell the truth, and they have the toolkit to do so. And today is just Financial Times discovers that actually the water is wet. My God, I mean, this is ridiculous. So they need to publish something. They also need to spin things, and as the result, they get nowhere because they are idiots. And by all intents and purposes, we meet now here in the West, in the United States, especially in Europe, we meet all criteria to be called idiocracy. And yes, we only can be happy for Mr. Trump, who had the best MRI in the history of the universe since the times of the Big Bang, or whatever the start of the universe, and Big Bang being now put into doubt. And I would also put it into doubt. And I have always had doubts about Big Bang being the event. So Mr. Trump probably has the best MRI in the last 90 billion years across the universe. And what can I say? So this is what I wanted to tell you today, or kind of, giving you more insight into the idiocracy. And this is all that also tells you everything you need to know about the situation on the front line. And yeah, the front is collapsing. As you can see yourself, Russians moving to the west, and they will continue to move to the west as long as they deem it necessary. So this is everything I wanted to tell you today, guys. And as always, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. And those who can afford, please support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee and two. That will keep me in this business. So have a nice rest of the weekend, and I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.